Okay, great. So excited to have Gina Parete here, head of partnerships at Ownr. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super pumped to have this conversation. For those of you that are not aware, Ownr has become a very important partner to Village Crafting Candle for a number of years now. And I'll give Gina the opportunity to talk about who Ownr is and her role within the organization. But today's topic is an important one, and it's really around incorporation and when to incorporate in the different types of businesses that you can be in, and understanding typically the level of responsibility and liability as a business gets bigger, and different levels of exposure you may have to certain legalities, if you will. But I think it's an important opportunity to discuss this as, you know, us makers head into a busy time of the year, and there's a variety of different sales channels that you're going to be participating in. As we embark the winter season, this is a great opportunity to understand, you know, what does it mean about legal structure in an organization. But before we dive deep, I want to introduce Gina. So Gina, thank you so much for being on. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
you
for
having me.
having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and chat.
Yeah, of course. So Gina, can you give us a bit of an intro as to who Ownr is? What do you guys do? Perhaps the affiliation, you know, with the parent group, and a little bit about background.
Yeah, absolutely. Short and sweet, we are a business registration platform. So we assist entrepreneurs in registering sole proprietorships and incorporations, and we really simplified the process. Uh, Everything can be done on our platform. I always tell entrepreneurs that I chat with within 10 to 15 minutes or so, you can be on your way to getting incorporated. We are owned by RVC. They are our parent company. So if anyone is ever on the Ownr platform, you'll notice we have offers going with RVC. That's because we are owned by them.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's amazing. And I'll be honest, first off, I'm a customer, and have been now for a number of years. And Gina's point with the affiliation of RBC actually segregates them from any other platform that offers a very similar service. The advantage of utilizing RBC's banking services paired with the legal services that Ownr offers and the registration capability, and more importantly, the ease of use. I think, you know, entrepreneurs that are busy focusing on their craft and their expertise may not have the time, you know, allocated to spend on other areas of setting up a business or registering, you know, legal incorporation. And I'll be honest, it's like less than 5 clicks, and you're, you know, further than you've even anticipated. And I think a lot of people's, you know, nerves around incorporation or business registration is, you know, the old way of doing it and filing it through, you know, a government office, and kind of taking the multiple steps that can lag on for what feels like years. Whereas you guys have definitely optimized the entire process, and it's super simple. You know, encourage everybody, you know, to kind of at least take a look and explore the services. But you know, I want to kick off with a simple, very yet important question. When is the right time for a self-employed solopreneur to incorporate their business?
Love that question. We get it a lot at Ownr. And I'll start off by saying you always want to make sure you're chatting with a professional, an accountant, who will help give you a definite, yes, you should incorporate, no, you can wait a bit. But there's typically two considerations when deciding, should I incorporate now? The first is tax implications. When you incorporate, there's definitely tax benefits that you unlock. So that's the first consideration. Second consideration is the liability piece. And this is a big one. When you incorporate, I like to think of it as if you're creating this new person. You're creating a new legal entity. What that means is that any liability related to your business does not fall on you personally the moment that you incorporate. It falls on your business. So you have that protection. When you're a sole proprietor, you and your business are the same legal entity. That means that any liability falls on you personally. I like to think of a wave of risk. If I'm, for example, a marketing consultant, I'm at the bottom of that wave. I can kind of maybe ride it a little to see, okay,
Right.
how long I can wait a bit longer to incorporate. I'm sending email, maybe campaigns out, creating marketing content. not too much risk there for me.
Right.
But let's say I'm starting a moving business. Probably want to incorporate before I do anything out. I'm probably riding the wave at the highest there. So I'm moving from furniture, let's say from one house to another. I can damage the houses. I can damage the furniture. I can get in an accident with my truck on the way from one house to another. So probably want to incorporate right off the bat. So I always say to business owners, where do you see yourself on that wave? And can you risk riding it out a bit?
Right. Right. And that's a really valid point, especially for, our key community, which is comprised of makers that are dealing with products such as, candles, candle supplies, bath and body supplies, potentially products of which that, can irritate skin, eyes, if not properly used. And the mitigation is extremely important. And, we all take the necessary precautions when making a product, and, there's a level of care that's being put towards, driving the awareness there. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of us who start out in this business, start out with the kitchen table as the office or the basement or a bedroom, and not really realizing that, selling one unit or 100, or hopefully striking a deal for a multiple store order, can really increase the risk of liability if not done properly. And, to Gina's point, having the ability to register early on when you assess the business that you're in and the level of liability that you're exposed to, really makes a difference, in terms of the structure of the business. And one thing I realized too is registering a business is almost the mindset. It provides that level of motivation, that level of dedication, where it feels good to register a business and incorporate yourself. You've taken the first step into becoming the brand, and you're putting that level of accountability for your company to do something. Whereas I feel if you're generating a business and you're being able to grow it as a solopreneur, which is great, there's always that little voice in the background that would say, you can just stop doing your business, it's okay. And it doesn't get you to push. Whereas I feel registering a business into incorporation, makes you feel committed to something, and there's something tangible you can hold on to. So I think it's extremely important when paired with, the risk assessment of the type of business that you're in. So I appreciate that.
Of course, Roger, and that's a great call out actually to when you have a incorporation versus when you set up a sole proprietor. When you set up a sole proprietor, essentially you're setting up a business name. You're registering that.
Right.
There's no ongoing work that you need to do. So I can see that idea you have of one and done. But when you have a corporation, so you're going to get set up, you're going to get your articles of incorporation in addition to your organizational documents. That's step one. And Ownr has made it a one-step process. If a lot of business owners think of, okay, maybe I can incorporate on my own, definitely more than one step. We try to simplify it there. But then what to do after incorporation, that first step there? There's ongoing paperwork that needs to be done every year to keep a corporation in good standing.
Right.
So it is top of mind. It is continuous work that an entrepreneur needs to think of when they have a corporation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I appreciate that. And again, it's such an important topic. I think there's, other than just registering, there's so many things you got to ask yourself, when doing it. And again, I'm a strong believer that no matter what size you are, it's important to consider that registering your business as an incorporation should be step one for different factors. Gina, simple question, and I always had a hard time with this when starting out as an entrepreneur at a young age, is what's the difference between provincial and federal incorporation?
I love it. And it's actually one of the most common questions we get at Ownr. So two things to consider when deciding, should I register provincially and federally? So the first is the name piece. Your name's reserved in the province when it's provincial versus federal across Canada. The second thing to ask yourself, how will my business operate? Will I have a presence in other provinces? Will I have offices there? What will that presence look like? That doesn't mean if I'm an online retailer selling something that I need to be federally incorporated in order to sell my product across Canada. You can still be provincial incorporation and sell across Canada. But it comes down to those two things. Like, will I have offices in other provinces? How active will I be in those provinces? And then the name piece. Something I'll call out to from the registration side. At Ownr, we do federal Ontario and provincial Ontario incorporations. There's that option there. Right. The process looks the same as a user, but when you do a federal incorporation, it requires an extra provincial registration. So something to keep in mind when getting set up. But at Ownr, we handle it for the user, but that's another difference as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And again, I'm glad you validated that it was one of the most common questions, because it is probably one of the most common areas of confusion, because really no one understands. But realizing where you might be conducting business, where the growth may be, will help kind of determine that. So question then, if someone were to register provincially and then perhaps grow their business where they decide to maybe conduct business in out of province or set up an office somewhere else, could they then go through Ownr and then register a federal incorporation after the fact, or it has to be done at the same time?
Yeah, great question. So I will call out that on our platform, we only offer federal incorporations in Ontario. For the other provinces, you would need to go to a registry to complete that process, but it is a process, a separate process. You need to do your filings and re-register as such. Yeah.
Got it. Perfect. Thanks for clarifying. And Gina, what is the process on Ownr to get incorporated? Like, what are some of the pieces of documentation someone has to have? What would be the steps of verification? Like, walk us through that journey on the site. And as I mentioned earlier, it is probably one of the most intuitive tools to use for what is perceived to be the most complex topic, but it really isn't. So walk us through that if you don't mind.
It really isn't at all. The only point in our platform that will ask you to upload a piece of ID is that the banking process. If you're wishing to open up an RBC bank account, we try to make that process easier for when you go in to get you to upload ID. Other than that, you're entering all your information. So some things to think about when incorporating, and on our platform, we've laid it out as simple as possible. So a name confirmation, what will your new business name be? Something really cool about the Ownr platform is when you type in your business name, we'll do a preliminary search of the government database to see if the name is already taken by someone else.
Right.
Or if there's similar matches. So really cool feature we have on our platform as you're going through it. So the second thing you want to think about is directors and officers. Are you managing your business with other people? You'll need to have their information. You could totally be the director, the officer, one person and incorporate. That's possible. And then the other piece is your share structure. So what type of shares will you be issuing? Who will be a shareholder? Voting percentages. And then you come to our page where you're picking a plan. So we've made it very simple. We've laid it out. What's really cool about our platform and our website as well, there's a live agent to chat with you. So something you're not unsure of, you can just open that up, start talking to an agent, and one of our my awesome colleagues will be able to help out.
Yeah, I know that's awesome. And one thing to highlight that we haven't yet discussed is, other than registration, kind of post plan selection, all the added services that you guys offer a business owner is incredible. And, from your traditional, legal documents that you would traditionally go and retain a lawyer for, Ownr's made it extremely intuitive to fill in the gaps on the variable pieces of information while creating this standardized documentation. Can you talk about some of the documents that you offer through Ownr and how it can play a role in a lot of our business owners today?
Absolutely. So when you have a corporation, I'll start off with saying there's two main things you want to ensure you are completing every year to keep your corporation in good legal standing. First is your minute book. I like to think of a minute book as like my own legal library. All my important documentation needs to be in one centralized place. Government needs to audit me for whatever reason, you're going to refer to that minute book. So that's the first thing we house on our platform. The second thing is your corporate legal return, and this is a great call out. Anything to do with taxes, your corporate tax return, you're going to go to your accountant, they'll assist with. But your corporate legal return has to do more so with the status of your corporation. Essentially, you're letting the government know that you're active and you're operating, so you won't be dissolved. If you've had a shareholder meeting, if you've added a director, change your head office address, you're kind of giving the government year at a glance of your corporation. So we assist with that as well. On our platform, what's really cool is that we also provide select legal templates that our users can fill in and go and send to the appropriate party. So let's say I need an NDA complete or an intellectual property agreement. We have those legal templates. If my company is growing and I need to hire someone, we have those employee contracts as well. So really, really cool feature on our platform too. And something that I'm going to call out and shout out, I'm very proud of it. We have awesome partners that we work with. And because of that, our Ownr users unlock perks. And I think we're at over $17,000 over or so in savings for our users with our perks. So definitely something users can check out as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we'll be able to send everyone the link with this video to access those savings that we definitely pass on, you know, to our community. And I can't emphasize enough that other than just the amazing intuitiveness of registering a business, the added on documents that are so critical for a business owner, something as simple to Gina's point, where we're looking at hiring somebody, but we can't commit to a full-time employee. We want to hire a contractor. There is a contractor contract available for someone. Or if you are willing to hire someone full-time, there is an employee agreement that you're willing to do or willing to provide, excuse me. And so there are so many things of which we take for granted through the process until it's time to actually utilize them, we'll scramble. And the fact that it's all centralized and consolidated, and again, a very intuitive, digital friendly, user friendly model such as Ownr with the support, you know, through a chat system is incredible and very reassuring, you know, when you're trying to run a business and where anything can technically happen. Gina, so another simple question for you. What happens after setting up the business and being incorporated? Walk us through the logistics with owner and customer. What happens? What emails do I get? What documents do I get? Where does everything go? Do I get a dashboard? Walk us through the semantics of all that.
Yeah, so when a user sign and submits on our platform, at that stage, it gets sent off to the government. When the government pushes through your articles of incorporation, we'll send you an email. We'll say, hey, there's documents waiting for your signature. Those are the rest of your organizational documents. At that point, you're logging into your Ownr dashboard, you're signing off on those documents, you're fully incorporated. It's easy as that. Four things to think about after you're incorporated and things that you need to do. So the first is you need to ensure that you open up a business bank account, which is a great call out to our relationship with RBC. We try to get that done for you. We encourage you to do it as you go through our platform, and we can help out with that. So that's the first thing you need to incorporate. You need to open up a business bank account. Second thing you need to do after you incorporate is pay for your shares. So let's say I am a shareholder of my company. I'm the only one. I issue 1,000 shares at a penny a shares to myself. I'm going to transfer $10 into my business bank account that I've opened up for myself. I paid for my shares. That's the second thing you want to do. The third thing is consider GST, HST, payroll, import, export. Do you require that? Do you need it? Chat with an accountant. They'll be the ones to say, yeah, now it's time for you to get a GST, HST number. That's something Ownr can help with as well. And then the fourth piece, and I already mentioned it, is that annual compliance, that legal return. You're going to make sure you're doing that every year as well. For your corporations in good legal standing after you complete that initial step of getting fully incorporated and completing those documents.
Yeah, that's incredible. And ballparking kind of timing from when I submit the request to register to receiving it all done, completed, and I have my certificate, how long would that normally take?
Great question. So it really depends on the province that you're registering in. So for example, provincially in Ontario, takes about 1 to 3 business days for the government to push through your documents. Federally, it could take 3 to 5. That's typically the time frame we give our users. BC could take a little longer, depending on if there's any delays. If the name confirmation piece is taking a little bit longer, it can take over 10 business days to complete that process. So it really depends on the province and if there's any delays that the government's experiencing, but you're looking at roughly those timeframes that I've shared.
Got it. And that's good to know. I mean, for those of which that are actually considering registering their business and incorporating it, I mean, it doesn't take that long. As Gina had explained, it's an end-to-end solution with the additional support of your accountant and advising you as to when and if you do need a GST HST number. Other than that, I think, within 5 business days, you're kind of off to the races as an incorporated company federally. So that would give you reassurance, especially when we're approaching a time of the year, within the maker community where, there are a number of sales channels that you are exploring and trying to capitalize. As I mentioned earlier, and as Gina had validated, don't sell yourself short. Incorporating doesn't mean that there is a commitment to be at a certain level of revenue or you have to sell a certain amount of product. Incorporating is an assessment of your risk tolerance for the business and for the type of business that you're in. More importantly, it is that level of accountability you give yourself to commit to the brand and the company you want to grow and continue to scale. And it provides you that sense of motivation. You have something now that you're working, for, and you're doing it through your craft and through the joy of really building a business. So, Gina, this is awesome. I really, really appreciate you coming on. We always enjoy talking to you guys at Ownr. You guys have been amazing, and you guys always know how to support us and our community and anyone that has any questions. You guys are always so thorough and just amazing to work with. So I really, really appreciate you being on here. Again, you will get the link to Ownr services. There's definitely perks that are unlocked. Heavily recommend you kind of go through all of them. It'll be on our website as it usually is, as well as, when we release this, you'll get a link to it. Gina, I want to thank you again. Really, really appreciate it. This was super thorough and super helpful, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as well. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.